Hello, YouTube. This is Ben Gessel. Um, I know I'm growing a little bit of a beard here. I might shave it soon. Anyway, um, so yes, I have the darker lighting for this video. Um, so jump right into this guy, uh, and I have a little bit of a grin. Yeah, it's one of my favorite subjects. Um, Before I get into this, though, I just have to say, I think it's Robert Stack. There was a gentleman that used to narrate unsolved mysteries when I was. This is back in the late '80s and early '90s when I was a little boy. When I was a boy, um, and he had that deep voice, that direct look. Uh, anyway, it'd be great to see more Robert Stack uh, narrations of what I'm about to talk about. Uh, you'll see it. You'll see. Ideas in supernatural fiction. We'll just say, I guess there's the overall genre of horror. Uh, but ideas in supernatural fiction, the darker side, that we still reflect on. Um, I say we still reflect on. Yeah, you'll see what I mean. So the first idea is being completely alone in an unfamiliar, vaguely ominous or threatening kind of place. And there's one movie in particular that I think illustrates this well. There's many. The Wicker Man is a really good example of this idea from the perspective of the British police officer goes to that the island Summer Isle or something along those lines. Of course, there's many other movies as well, but we when we put ourselves in that position of, say, the policeman going to investigate the death of a girl, and we're only one person. We're not even. I don't even think he was armed. He's trusting that everybody there is to cooperate with him. When you go to a place that you haven't been there before, and it's a little the policeman was very brave, but let's say you're to go to you're going camping, but everybody acted kind of weird when you're around if you got your supplies there, or, anyone else you talked to was just acted kind of a little funny. If you're camping alone, especially, it can be even more terrifying potentially when you have people that are making weird sounds at night, or you might think they're gonna try to hurt you, or they're try to something kind of maybe witchcraft related. So anyway, and that's something that I think we still on occasion might cross our minds. It's a pretty deep set fear. The next kind of subject is just the sheer terror of experiencing or seeing pure evil. So, like, say, for instance, demons or Satan himself. That would be a good example of that would be The Exorcist. And it's an older movie, I know. But, it's not for the faint of heart. If you haven't seen it before, the first time is always the most frightening. Rosemary's Baby and The Omen. But there's so many movies that have come out about this kind of subject matter that I think you'll still see more movies about this subject in the future. It's just that it needs to be rethought. I think but it is one of the subjects that is also the most controversial because you're dealing with, I guess, say, real. The subject is more real evil, from a religious standpoint, especially. But no matter what, everybody knows you are referring to just pure, flat out evil. no gray characters, just pure evil, and that can still be very frightening. So, I think it's just something that really scares us to our core. When a movie's a little bit closer to what actually uh, is in reality the case with these kinds of, like, with demons. So there's something else that's similar to the first thing I described, being completely unfamiliar, alone and unfamiliar kind of place that makes you feel funny. It's being physically vulnerable in an environment that is extremely difficult to escape from. So, like The Shining or The Purge. There's a bunch of other ones. A lot of haunted house movies, like The Haunting, Rose Red, Amityville Horror. But let's talk about The Shining. The Shining, everyone knows Jack Nicholson has a very expressive face and feature in your voice, and he's particularly good, of course, at playing not only Joker but the dad in The Shining. I can't remember his name offhand, but yeah, he does a very good job playing an unhinged character very well. Of course, Shelley Duvall's character was the mom, and put herself in her shoes, and her husband's going berserk in this place, and they need to keep need to kind of take care of the place for a while, and she's just seeing her husband slip it farther and farther into this dark place, and she's physically vulnerable because she's a woman, and her husband is supposed to be the protector. Now he's coming increasingly aggressive toward her. So I just think it's a very good example of this idea. So anyway, moving on here. I'm not going to have this video too long. Family disintegration and death. The Sinister movies, particularly the first one. It's just so chilling seeing a kid who's so taken over by a demon that he would kill his own family. It's unthinkable. It's an unspeakable kind of. It's almost makes you want to throw up. So it's such a horrible, such a unthinkable. Yeah, it's an unthinkable terrain. But that's why it's such an effective horror movie. But I think we worry about things. We certainly worry about things. Anything having to do with our family. But it really kind of stabs at the heart of that whole subject. It's dark. Absolutely. Psychology of serial killers, torturers, and also just really weird people in a more bad way. This is something else that I think we might occasionally reflect on. We hear some crazy guy is broken out. It's totally crazy, but so there's kind of the legal, the side of this that has to do with the police and the legal courts and everything, jail. So Silence of the Lambs is the obvious pick here. It's a good example of this kind of movie. Also Psycho. Psycho has some of these other qualities I mentioned already. Willard even. Crispin Glover does a really good job playing him. In this case, with Willard, it's more of an eccentric, or just a very odd, kind of person that he plays. He has some kind of relation with rats or mice. I remember it, and he has these guys. It really is a thought-provoking movie, kind of like Edward Scissorhands. I'll mention that later on, but Willard is not for the impatient. There's a lot of aspects of that movie that takes a lot of patience just to wade through. Boy, it really is a good movie. It really is a good movie. But yeah, Willard might not be he's not evil. He's just very odd, like the kid who never grew up and domineering parents. I don't want to spoil it for you. But Silence of the Lambs is really what I'm talking about. Leave it a little bit more in Psycho, but Silence of the Lambs, because you have one of the main villains, or villainous character, who describes in such a detail psychology of, you just get into the whole mindset. It's very, very disturbing. So psychology of serial killers. It's a very, very dark subject. Also, There's a bunch of movies that have to do with the possession of dolls and many dolls I'm talking about here. Um, and there's also a connection with the white faces, with of course the evil clown aspect, like it. But Child's Play might be an example, maybe Annabelle, of this kind of idea. Uh, I think it's not always again like there's some of these ideas that are often done that are the idea itself is great, but a lot of directors really don't. They're not that great when they make kind of a B budget movie. They're starting out, the younger director. I know I mentioned the Exorcist type movies of demons. That it's based just being so there's so many of them, and the ghost hunting thing is the evil doll thing is also one of those movies that I know what the idea is so popular and it kind of so there's a lot of B budget evil doll movies. There's a few good ones again. Child's Play and Annabelle are some of the better ones. Of course, there's a whole bunch of movies in this next one continually being chased from a supernatural entity by some kind of monster, corporeal, even incorporeal in some respects, or a shapeshifter. So it again would very much applying to this evil clown. But pretty much, there's a ton of movies that this apply to. A ton of it. You just the idea of being chased. That's like almost it's a ton of movies. We don't want to be chased, and so we tap into that instinctive. There's something that's going to kill me or scare me to death. At least I will actually die from fear. Kind of thing by screaming. I don't want to see whatever it is. Yeah. So, The Ring and The Grudge, for instance, Babadook. This is just a physical danger, more from just animals. Uh, so these movies I'm not as afraid of. I think that this is more of a kind of a something that may be more frightening for kids. Well, kids wouldn't watch this stuff. Maybe teenagers, perhaps. It's almost more of a retro, older kind of idea with Jaws and the birds and Cujo, Arachnophobia, Man's Best Friend, about that dog that's programmed to go, change his personality. The birds has Alfred Hitchcock is always kind of a little bit unsettling anyway. Arachnophobia, the bugs and the. I suppose you could put wasp movies in here too. There's a wasp movie that's really scary. So just any kind of physical danger from animals. I'm not really as this doesn't really concern me as much, but it's a very real thing that we're not going to be chased by some probably we're not going to be chased by evil clown necessarily. Well, hey, there's evil clown. Well, but I mean is we're not going to be chased by a supernatural kind of being, really. Not kind of monster, no monsters necessarily. But we will. There's a good chance at some point in our life we're going to be chased by a dog or by a bunch of bees or spiders. So that's a bit more of a real kind of fear. Being lost and not being able to escape subterranean areas like caves. So like the movie As Above, So Below, The Cave and Descent. But when I saw As Above, So Below, I believe that movie had to do with those catacombs or all those tunnels underneath Paris. And if the area that's roped off by police, and if you, get in there, it's against the law, so you go to jail, all that stuff, right? So, yeah, I mean, sure. Who wants to? We don't want to be trapped in a subterranean area. Like run out of food, go crazy. It's fun to explore those caves and everything, I'm sure. But that movie had some things about it that, you can do a lot of different things. There were moments where I thought was pretty. It was a little bit, a little bit unsettling, sure. So that's just the idea of, this isn't really, it's more of a startling kind of thing, unbridled supernatural, of blind rage, like Carrie. So this Carrie is a movie kind of like Edward Scissorhands or Willard, where you have a good character, has some good qualities, whatever character that you can sympathize with. That there's something. It's not a It's not a happy ending. It's not a Disney movie by any stretch of the imagination. So Carrie, is, well, you'll just have to see it for know what I'm talking about. But that's some serious emotions that just are let out in that movie. So again, it also concerns us sometimes when we ever experience being in a situation where we're, feel like there's, I don't want to use the word cult because it's kind of a word that's, it's just not, it's not a very definite word to mean certain things. But, the Wicker Man would play into this kind of paganism, or the unnerving kind of paganism. I know many people that are pagan. But I'm not talking, what I'm talking about is, like really dark paganism, like human sacrifice and, the putting on animal heads and things. And, I don't know. I'm not talking necessarily about just, harmless traditions or other things. So, pagans out there, don't worry. I'm just saying it can be unnerving when we feel like we're in a situation where we're going to get roasted alive or something when we least expect it. The human sacrifice is a lot of that. But Children of the Corn, it's kind of a fundamentalist Christian or a fundamentalist, some kind of fundamentalist, fear of a fundamentalist type of church, or religion. In Village of the Damned, Village of the Damned is a bit more of a fear of evil in kids, of the kids' evil thing, but it's similar. So in Children of the Corn, there's all these kids. There's just a society of kids that, it's just different, very, very different. So it's something I think, many of us, even I think those people that are still even pagan would probably be unnerved by very dark practices as it is anyway. So the evil that exists in normal society. This one I put Edward Scissorhands for sure. So there's a lot of evil, a lot of things that we don't want to accept about our associates, about some communities, and about the people that we might interact with on a fairly regular basis. We don't want to. We try not to think about the fact that these folks are, all their little faults. We try not to forgive everybody. We try to not think about those things. But a movie like Edward Scissorhands just exposes those things so acutely, and exaggerated American suburbia, of course, that's the whole point. But it still has some very strong points. So something that occupies our thoughts. I think sometimes we never accept the fact that some people act certain ways that I'm referring more to the United States. I know it's not just the United States and suburbia, but it's really what kind of, anyway. So, keeping up with the Joneses, but, how much money do you make, and what kind of TV dinner did you have, but not, the more genuine ways of thinking and being, that sort of thing. So, that's what the movie really attacks. So, mirrors is another subject that I think can be unnerving. When you see a scary movie about mirrors, you don't want to look in the mirror. And, it's true. Well, I've heard, and I wouldn't know this firsthand, but I have heard that mirrors can be, in reality, kind of used for dark purposes. So I know there's something about them that is like that. It's more than just the moving mirrors with Kiefer Sutherland and Oculus. Those are just a few of them. There's other ones as well. They're kind of like this, but the idea of looking in the mirror and then what you see back it's like you, but it's not. And then anyway, there was like another world behind that mirror. Of course, that's a deeper kind of idea. It goes back ways. And then, of course, last idea I have here is that people aren't who they say they are on a very deep level. So, Orphan and What Lies Beneath would be good examples of this. The Orphan is very chilling, and if you haven't seen it, I recommend it. A lot of these movies, many of them don't involve anything. They don't really have any swearing. I think the majority of them don't. More than half of these. And then only a few of them have, even a smaller percentage, have any sexual content, and that's the stuff I really try to avoid personally. But if you ever see the original Wicker Man, just if you want, just be prepared to fast forward certain parts. If The Exorcist is kind of like that a little bit, maybe, but yeah, in a way. But yeah. Anyway, feel free to comment back. Let me know what you think about some of these ideas. The timeless. I just think that just need to keep trying to having directors try to make good movies. Even though all these ideas, for instance, are very much more well known, it's still there's something about them that still we still have some fear regarding. Now, I might make another video about what I would like to see still in regards to movies. I think I might have done that before, but I'll save that for another video. There are a lot of things I think that should be explored still in more frightening movies. All right, I will catch you guys later. Take care. Bye.